If we only knew ahead of time, we could have avoided this ferry from hell. Good morning, everyone. Well, hey, as we got up this morning, we've had to change plans. We were thrown a curveball yesterday in that the wildfires here in Canada have closed the road on the Quebec Labrador Highway. The whole section between Baie-Comeau and Labrador City has been closed and evacuated. So we're going to have to go to a different route, and I think we are going to go counterclockwise. Originally we were going to go clockwise on our trip, so we're just going to reverse the route, and hopefully by the time we get there, that highway will be open and we can complete that section. So we're going to hit the road here shortly. Gord had stayed up late trying to get all the hotel reservations canceled. One hotel was not cooperating, even with the explanation that we had no control over the road closing. This caused some frustration for Gord. Due to the late hour, Gord chose to keep the Baie-Comeau hotel reservation just in case the road opened in the next 24-hour period. This meant if the highway remained closed, we would cross the Gulf of St. Lawrence by ferry instead of crossing the bridge here in Quebec City. Between the wildfires, the road closing, and the hotel fiasco, circumstances were setting us up with a collision course with fate. Despite our setback, the day's ride was turning out to be a great ride. The air was cool, but the sun was shining, and the scenery was beautiful. We are riding Highway 138 east from Quebec City. At times the highway follows along the shore of the St. Lawrence River, and at times it meanders through the hills of Charlevoix and Charlevoix East. Charlevoix and Charlevoix East are regional county municipalities. In the middle of the countryside, we pass by this mill that produces animal feed. We are definitely entrenched in farmland. After a scenic ride through the hills, we come to the town of La Malbaie. From here, the highway pretty much follows the St. Lawrence River all the way to Baie-Comeau. La Malbaie is the judicial district of Charlevoix and is located at the mouth of the Rivière Malbaie in the St. Lawrence Seaway. What a beautiful town, despite its name meaning Bad Bay, as labeled by explorer Samuel de Champlain in 1605. St. Simeon is another quaint town along the St. Lawrence River. It hosts one of 4 ferries that cross the river to the south. The ferry's destination in this location is the town of Rivière-du-Loup. Once again, Highway 138 pulls slightly away from the coast as we ride towards Baie St. Catherine, where we'll catch a ferry that takes us across Rivière Saguenay. Baie St. Catherine was the most scenic portion of our ride today. The bay and river is a great spot to look for beluga whales. There is even a tour boat at Croisières AML. As we round Point Noir, we can see the ferry that will take us across Rivière Saguenay. There was a waiting queue to get on the ferry, but we were so busy looking around that the wait didn't seem too long. What a beautiful area. Getting on and off the ferry was very easy, and it's just a short hop across the river. But keep your eyes peeled because we saw some beluga whales. How cool, huh? The video doesn't show the whales, but we spotted them 3 or 4 times as we crossed. We tried to film them, but without a telephoto lens, they were just too far away. So if you go through here, splurge on that zoom lens. We are now about halfway to Baie-Comeau, so as we get off the ferry, we headed into the town of Tadoussac for lunch. With our tummies full, we're ready to make the final push for Baie-Comeau. Last year, when Gordon and I were up here, this is the turnoff we took to Saguenay. So from here on out, the area ahead of us has already been filmed in last year's videos, but it's from a different angle, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. The town of Les Escumas was originally the territory of the Matanese, a native population that extended into the province of Labrador. In more modern times, the town was known for the timber industry. Logs were floated down the river and into the bay, where they were loaded onto ships and bound for Europe and other towns along the St. Lawrence River. Like many northern areas around the world, construction crews make haste during the summer months. Canada is no exception. However, their rudimentary bypasses were often quite basic and rugged. This off-road detour presented itself many times during our trip. What amazed me was even semis took these rough cut-arounds. We made it to Baie-Comeau even though the shadows are starting to get long. We're going to hit the hotel and get checked in there and then go to a restaurant. Gord's going to do the presentation on the map for you, but stay around because there's more to this video on the next day's ride.
Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the adventure to Labrador and the Maritimes of Eastern Canada. Day 2 commenced this morning at a great time, super sunny day, slightly cool, but really a pleasant day. Of course, when the temperature goes down, the bugs go down, and we're all happy about that. We left Quebec City this morning at about 9 o'clock this morning. We transited, basically followed the northern shore of the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Well, the St. Lawrence River actually, as it turns into the Gulf of St. Lawrence, that's what happens when it gets really big here. We ended up, our final destination today was Baie-Comeau, and that's one of the last larger population centers in Quebec before you run out of road or run out of people. We spent about five and a half hours en route today, 270 odd miles, approximately 420 kilometers if you're doing the count. Very interesting transition here at a place called Tadoussac. The Highway 138 that we used, there's actually a free service ferry that crosses this particular inlet, and the wait was about maybe 15 minutes for a shuttle, and the trip itself lasted maybe about 12 to 15 minutes itself. So super efficient service, lots of fun, just a nice thrill, and it's a great opportunity to see beluga whales if you're looking sharp on your water checks on the way across. So had a great day, no incidents of course. It was a great time, and a little cool at the end of the day, but that's because we rolled in around 6 o'clock at night. But nevertheless, just a fine day without incident. Thanks, we'll see you tomorrow.
Well, here's my end of day. We had a great time. I saw a beluga whale, or multiple, and a groundhog. So as far as wildlife goes, it was a little chilly, but not too bad. And overall, it was just a great day. Looking forward to another ferry ride tomorrow.
Well, we just finished up having dinner here in Baie-Comeau. We ate at a place called Marco's Pizza. I'd highly recommend them if you like pizza. It's got kind of its own little home style twist to it. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a really good pizza. It wouldn't make any difference which one you got. Hey, tomorrow we are going to be hopping the ferry here from Baie-Comeau to Matane. We've had to set aside our plans for the Labrador Quebec Highway because of the forest fires, and Gord's working on canceling our hotel reservations. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of going clockwise, go counterclockwise. I might have mentioned that yesterday, but we're going to head across the center portion of New Brunswick and head toward Halifax. Hopefully that won't be a problem, because they've been experiencing some wildfires as well. So we'll see you tomorrow on that ferry ride.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, June 6th, and we've been rained in a little bit, but we're not really going too far, going to a ferry that doesn't leave till 5:30 this afternoon. So we have the hotel rooms till noon, and then we'll get going. I'm not sure if we're gonna just hang out where we can park our bikes in the undercover, or head on to the ferry. We'll find out.
Well, the rains have come in and we're going to have to ride in the rain today. The upside is we don't have very far to go, just to the ferry, and ride that, sail out across the St. Lawrence Gulf here to Matane, and then just a short ride to the hotel. So we're not going to be in the rain too terribly long today. But that's our plan, so we'll see you soon on the road. Well, we have to wait all afternoon long, basically all day we had to wait. We stayed at the hotel as long as we could before they kicked us out. And now we're at a McDonald's, and we're gonna have to wait here because the ferry doesn't go until 5:30, and it was the only one that was going today, so we didn't have an earlier choice. So we're gonna chill here, and then we'll be getting on the ferry at 5:30. I would like to thank the staff at McDonald's in Baie-Comeau. We camped out there for the afternoon while it was raining cats and dogs. It allowed us to stay dry before we had to make the trek to the ferry. As we left Baie-Comeau, the seas were relatively calm. Roy was a little anxious, though, because he suffers from severe motion sickness, and so does Sherry to a degree. Gord and I are blessed because we don't suffer motion sickness at all. About midway across, the wind picked up significantly, and the waves rose to 4 to 6 feet range. By now, the ferry was rocking, and Roy was getting sick. Unfortunately, this was just the beginning. It was going to get worse, a lot worse. About a half hour from Matane, we found ourselves in gale force winds. I later learned from a marine weather forecast, seas ranged from 12 to 15 feet. The ferry was rocking from starboard to port in the extreme, and I pondered the ferry stability curve. In other words, I wondered if we were close to capsize angle. Unfortunately for Roy, he spent the remainder of the sail in the head. Also, I later learned that all other ferry crossings had been canceled due to the extreme weather. We were the only ship sailing. Luckily, Roy was able to recover just enough to be able to ride the short ride from the ferry to the hotel. It was about only a kilometer, but I was really worried about him. Even the following day, Roy was still suffering from some sickness, so it lingered just a little bit, and we took that seriously for our next ferry trips. We were unable to get Dramamine in Canada for some reason, but we dosed Roy up with Benadryl and a product called Ravel, which is helping with the sickness, the tummy upset. And that seemed to work for him on the subsequent ferry rides that we took. Luckily for us, it was just a short ride to the hotel where we could warm up and get dry. Here's Gord.
Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to the exciting adventure we're calling the trip to Labrador that may be a little bit delayed. When we left you last time, we had landed in a place called Baie-Comeau. You can see it as this dot here at the north side of the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Again, because of the forest fire situation to the north of us, we were forced to sort of turn and head south, and we did so by jumping on the ferry across the St. Lawrence Gulf here. It was about, a good 40 kilometers across the way. The weather was extremely rough. The water conditions were rough, and the boat was rocking pretty good. But nevertheless, by the end of day 3, we ended up in a place called Matane, Quebec. Stayed at a place, a wonderful little hotel called the Motel Belle Plage, which, for those not anointed with the French language, that means nice beach. I wouldn't say the beach was so nice this time because of the incredible waves and the high winds and the incredible rain that we were suffering for that day. Now, as it turned out, after we landed, when we got up the next morning on day 4, we decided that the weather was so horrible, it really wasn't worth our time to actually fight through those conditions and carry on. So we spent the end of day 4 in place in the hotel, relaxing up for the next journey. So that's it for day 3 and 4. I'll talk to you about day 5 tomorrow.
Hey everyone, it's starting to get dark here, and boy did we have a ride on that ferry as we got closer to Matane. Probably about 4 to 6 foot waves turned into probably about 12 to 15 foot waves. That boat was rocking, and it's like gale force winds here. So we're hunkered down in the hotel and everything's going good, but if it's like this tomorrow, we might sit one day out here. We'll see you tomorrow.
Here's my end of day. We just had a really cool ferry ride. It was 2 hours, and Mike just looked up the swells and the waves together were almost 12 feet tall. So anyway, it was quite exciting, and looking forward to whatever tomorrow brings. Right now it's rainy and blustery, but hopefully that'll help with the fires.